So I got a question for you. Is cancel culture canceled?
I feel like canceling Tori with that wave at the
It was bad. Hi, I'm a sailor. It was real wide.
A sailor.
You know, in boats, when you say goodbye to people, you often do like a really exaggerated wave.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of cancel.
Let's go back. We're going back to cancel culture. Well, one Fox News anchor is asking after Louis C.K. won a Grammy for Best Comedy Album on Sunday. Now, Louis was canceled, quote unquote, and cut out of comedy over sexual misconduct, but has since come back to win this prestigious award. A lot of folks were very upset by this. One person tweeted, quote, "The Grammys are a great reminder that cancel culture doesn't exist, and no white dude has ever been successfully canceled for anything terrible that they do." So we got to hear from you. Is cancel culture, or rather the cancel culture pendulum, swinging back the other way? And is this a good thing in your opinion? What do you think, Tori?
I think there's always been cancel culture. And I think the word cancel has been branded really well, and it's really glossy and polishy and scary and mean. And all it means to me is when you hold someone accountable for going against a marginalized group of people. Now, have we gone too far? 100%. Hashtag Aziz Ansari, right? We have gone too far in several instances. But even like in 1950s with Joseph McCarthy, right? He's canceling people left and right because he thinks you might be a communist, right? And he's like, you're blacklisted in all of Hollywood. So don't pretend this is new. This is just a new word for me. Cancel.
For me, it's not, right? There's illegal, right? If you do something illegal, whether it's sexual or assault, like we just saw, and there's labels that you put on people that you want people to be canceled. You put on me, let's just use me as an example, right? Even though I'm not canceled. Although I did get removed from a network that I used to be on because of the culture, right? Because of something I said 15 or 12 years ago. I haven't revealed that on air. People always ask, how come you're not still doing stuff for them? Because of the culture, right? So you get labeled something and you put a label on somebody to silence their voice. When you do something illegal, you deserve to go to jail.
I agree.
When you say something that you have a mistake for, when you don't need to disappear. Okay, that's where we're at, and that's why I don't agree with cancel culture in today's day and age, because you're using it as a tool to silence my voice. If I have an opinion about something, you want me silenced and I have to drive Uber to support my family for an opinion? But 1 week ago, Will Smith assaulted somebody on stage, and we're saying, what's the road for him to come back? He assaulted somebody. An assault is less valued as a community than a verbal I don't know. I'm just so confused about the whole thing. And when you say people need to be accountable and held accountable, by what means? By what means?
By the culture, to be honest. Society has changed.
So if you say something, Tori, and all of a sudden I call you a racist because of something, one word that came out of your mouth one time on television, is that fair?
Why do you think cancel culture applies to you so specifically? When I talk about
I'm using myself as an example. Do you want me to use Chris Harrison?
No.
Do you want me to use Mike Richards? Do you want me to use Aziz Ansari?
No.
I think here's the problem too with the idea of cancel culture is it's so subjective. You know, like what
it's everybody else's lens.
People think that it's like, oh, you've been canceled and you don't get to work again. Like, I understand that you're using yourself as an example, but you're sitting here working. You know, like that says something. What I'm saying is when you are talking about it subjectively, then there's this formula, if you will. Like there's the idea of, does anybody care? Because that's really important. It's the idea of, is this really a cancellation, or are you at a point in your career where something would have changed anyway because the culture has changed? It also has to do with what your impact is. And that impact could be your impact digitally. It could be your impact monetarily. It could be whatever your social impact and currency is.
But, okay, Tori, if you say it's accountable culture, which, yes, Harvey Weinstein, great example. But then why is someone like Marilyn Manson, if you've seen Phoenix Rising on HBO and the allegations that Evan Rachel Wood, horrific torture allegations that she brings against him, he just won a Grammy.
Right.
No big deal.
And so did Louis C.K.
Oops, there goes my green tea. Louis C.K. too, but to that point, the Grammys don't have a code of conduct like the Oscars do. But who gets canceled?
It shouldn't be a code of conduct. It should be society.
But some people get canceled, some people don't.
Right.
But
and
that-
who's
but
to say?
It goes back to the fact that it is subjective
Right.
because people can say that they've been canceled, but really it was just the end of this era. Or it could mean that there's just another, like people, I just think people use cancel as to say that it's the end of the road for people. And as we can see by all of these examples, it's not necessarily if your social currency is still there.
I just think the word cancel has become an umbrella that has been used very well and branded very well to mean different things to every single one of us. And because of that, we literally are talking maybe about 2 or 5 or 6, 7 different things. Right. Cancellation could mean prosecution. Cancellation could mean I don't really want to see his movies anymore. But unless you're truly canceled, in which I think some people are, rightfully so. I don't think anyone has been, even Aziz Ansari, immediately there was impact saying, yo, we really should take this back.
And I think the pendulum's coming back a little bit because it got so ridiculous.
Overdone.
And I think cancellation has to do with your value to networks. Let's just keep it in Hollywood because that's what we're in. If you're valuable to a network or an agency, just like Will Smith, they're contemplating whether to keep him or not. His talent agency.
Yep.
Someone else is going to pick him up, right? It's just like someone picked up, what's the country singer? He just won a
Morgan Wallen.
He just won a Grammy as well. So he got dropped by his agency. He's obviously with someone else. It's how much you could bring in. Joe Rogan, you can't cancel. Someone of that stature, you can't. Right. But then people, because they can't get their voice heard, and I understand they want to, they can't take down those big figures. They go for regular run of people. Hence the Mike Richards. Hence the other guy from The Bachelor. Whatever. It's just I can't wrap my head around it because it's so insane. And that producers, executive producers, not on this show, I'm saying other networks, are abiding by what social media says when it's not even a real place, but they're running their network that way. It baffles me and blows my mind. That's why I'm so taken back. That's why I'm so passionate.
You don't like the fact, and I agree with you here, you don't like the fact that the Aziz Ansari's gets, or even the Chris Harrisons, if you want to say, get put in the same category as
Harvey Weinstein.
As a
But
Harvey
that's
Weinstein.
because cancellation has been used to highlight everything. That's not fair. Be more distinct with your words about cancellation, and that will go away.
But what's the road for redemption? We got to go. What's the road? You pay your sentence. I'm kicked off one network. Is it done now, or do I have to apologize the rest of my life? Does Will Smith, every time he goes up for an award, have to be like, hey, I'm sorry about 2022? When does it end?
Well, when does it start?
Talk about it during our break. Go to our YouTube. We're going to continue the conversation.
All right. So obviously cancel culture, I get heated a little bit, but it's good to talk about.
Right. I think, I was talking about the formula because when Jeff said it's the value to the network, it's a currency, right?
For sure.
But we all have it. Each one of us has our own separate degree of currency. It also comes down to what is valued at that point in pop culture. My currency has changed in pop culture through my 20-year career. This is the most currency I've ever had to actually be in a position where my voice can be heard because I wouldn't even have gotten an opportunity, even based on my years of school and my entire career until just recently because there's an opening in the market. So when you're talking about market value, you don't want to think about it when it pertains to people. But when we're having this conversation, it absolutely does. To me, it's a wave. Like there was a time where the wave was really low for me, and then there's a time when the wave is high. And I think for some of these people who have been canceled, so to speak, their wave had just run out. And therefore, there isn't the same amount of work for them out there that there was before. So if they're not being seen, it isn't necessarily because they were canceled. It's because the situation that they were in that moment had run its course, and now you're waiting to ride that wave back up. But I think that's just the entertainment industry.
No, Erica makes good points. She makes good points. For me, it's a little more personal and my personal experience with everything.
That.
Right, and I respect what Erica said because she's absolutely right too. There is so many different ways to break down cancel culture, which I think is why you could always talk about it. Because Dr. Coley might see it one way, you might see it one way, my personal experience might see it. So everyone has a different opinion of what they want. And then there's just jerks on there that pile on, and then the network listens to them. That's a whole different thing. And that drives me crazy. So always, if we have nothing to talk about, bring up cancel culture and I could get going.
Because it can go into so many things, like Q ratings, like what the audience thinks of you, are they receptive, things like that. So it has a lot, there's a lot going on behind it.